Giving isn't about making a donation. It's about making a difference. That was a quote from 𝗑𝗓𝗡𝗘𝗧𝗧, the former president and CEO of the United Nations Foundation. When it comes to giving to local charities, yes, we can give our time and volunteer, and we should. But the reality is that local charities also need money. I know donating is difficult right now. Gas prices are through the roof, and the cost of food is higher than it ever has been. But even a small amount can make a difference when we give. I'm Christina. Today, I'm going to be talking with two local charities about the impact of charitable giving. Keep watching. This is You and Your Money.
You and Your Money is brought to you by SuperValue and the Bahamas Cooperative League.
The Bahamas Humane Society, BHS, is Nassau's oldest charity. It has been committed to the safety, welfare, and well-being of animals in the Bahamas for nearly 100 years. BHS receives just $50,000 in government funding per year, making the need for donations from Bahamian residents like you and me critical. Here to talk about the work that they do and the impact of charitable giving is BHS General Manager Percy Grant. Welcome to the show, Mr. Grant.
Thank you for having me.
$50,000 in government funding, certainly that's not enough to cover your annual operational expenses. Talk about what BHS does, all of the services you provide, and what it costs to operate the shelter.
It really costs us much over $1 million for the entire year. It's a daily cost, like $3,000 with food and cleaning supplies. In drugs and medication is $200,000 a year. We have 26 staff members for the amount of animals that we have on site. So it's not enough. We run a 24-hour ambulance service where we are on the ball with the animals, rescuing animals hit by cars, animals in sinkholes, animals going in septic tank areas when people doing construction. And so we have a lot of work, and we are very, very involved in the community. So all the funding that we need is really not sufficient from any entity really, and especially get $50,000, no, it's hardly enough.
Wow, you really wouldn't think about all of the medication and all of these things that's required in order for you to go ahead and run such a shelter. Now, during the pandemic, when there were lockdowns and the economy was at a standstill, did you actually experience a decline in the donations? And if so, how did this impact your operations?
It did, but you know, Bahamians, the kind, loving Bahamians that we still exist in our country, really came to our aid. We had, during the pandemic, we've had a lot of animals came into the compound. We then had a fundraiser, which was our annual raffle, and where we sold tickets and we raised funds. And last year, or during that particular time, we raised the highest amount of money with our raffle. So it's been good. People are caring. We still have a lot of people out there who really do care for animals.
Well, we definitely say thank you to those persons that would have
Yes.
contributed.
Yes.
And even in having to think about the contributions that were made, last year, October, BHS was burglarized.
In the midst of all of our struggles, and we got burglarized, yes.
So how much damage did you actually sustain, and how critical were donations in helping you actually rebound?
Oh, the donations really was great in helping us to rebound. We suffered a lot of damage. Offices were broken into. I think about around $20,000. We lost a surveillance system, and so we're recovering. In fact, we're still recovering because there's still little odds and ends that have we were still not able to finish, complete it. And so we're hoping to get more funding and continue our efforts, because we couldn't just play dead. We had to continue. We're helping a lot of people out there.
For persons who are not in a position to adopt, how can donations help to reduce the number of animals that are currently in the shelter?
Well, there are donations right now. Well, I'll tell you, since Hurricane Dorian, which was of course a disaster to the country, it was also a blessing in disguise, because we were able to hook up with a lot of international NGOs and international shelters, where we started to airlift. And they wanted to help the Bahamas at that time, and it started off with the free airlifts during Hurricane Dorian, and then afterwards we got to know a lot of shelters, and people wanted our dogs, our Royal Bahamian Potcakes, which has become worldwide popular. And so they want to have a pot cake because they're smart and they're multi-genetic. And so we, part of your donations help us to do airlifts and to get the animals all vet checked, making sure that they have heartworm free, they're lichia free, and all of the different diseases that is required that the USDA will require us to have. Rabies, of course, the rabies shots, all those things we have to get those animals ready for in order for them to travel abroad. We also at times get folk who are traveling, we ask for what we call flight angels, who, if they're going and they want to take a puppy with them or take a dog with them, just one trying to clear the shelter. It's a everyday process. It's an everyday process.
I actually like the term flight angel. Now, you talk about the flight angel and what it is that you're actually doing at the shelter in terms of helping, the other dogs being able to be transported.
Right.
Are you still accepting surrenders or strays?
At this time, we are not able to accept right now. We're trying to get another airlift, hopefully for the end of the year. One of the greatest part of meeting, we had the Wings of Rescue, who was really, really helpful during Hurricane Dorian, and 𝗖𝗧𝗪, the International Welfare for Animal Areas. Through them, through 𝗖𝗧𝗪, we met Wings of Rescue because they were actually together. And Wings of Rescue is still helping us. We're trying to plan an airlift, hopefully by the end of the year. But a lot of the shelters, I mean, right now we're having the challenges, but a lot of the shelters in the United States are full, as they're not able to do as many airlifts as we would like to do. Because what has happened, they have a lot of what we call puppy mills, and people are breeding out of control. And so they're being raided because they have laws, as you know, there are laws of doing all this kind of indiscriminate breeding all over the place. And so a lot of those areas are being closed down by the animal control areas. And so those dogs then have to be now relocated into various shelters. And so that has caused a little cluster. So we're waiting for that area to be clean, I should say cleared out. That's done through fostering, because there is a lot of international fosters in those areas. We do have foster care here in Nassau, not enough as we would like. When puppies are left on our doorstep, nursing puppies, nursing kittens, we do have a few fosters, but not enough. And we are encouraging Bahamians to come in, call, see how best you can help, particularly in that area.
The thing is, you're doing an amazing job, even with having to do the various initiatives that you actually have. You also have the thrift store.
Yep.
What are some of the great buys that customers can have or even have gotten from the thrift store?
Many.
And what's the process for donating goods to be sold?
Well, they just need to give us a call, and we could make arrangements to accept them. I mean, there are times when we can. There are more times than we cannot, but there are times we can pick up. We prefer people to come and bring those donations from Tuesday up until Friday in order for them to be on sale. Household items are always a go. In fact, the thrift shop has been saving us during the pandemic. We've had many persons bring their goods there for us to, books and I mean, jewelry. We have jewelry sales there. I mean, it is a conglomerate of a lot of items. And a lot of people survived during the pandemic, again, from the thrift store. So the thrift store is our biggest selling point right now. It still keeps us afloat amidst all of the work that we're doing, spaying and neutering, paying staff, and overhead expenses.
So for those persons who are still trying to figure out how they can donate or how they could be a part of contributing to what it is that you're doing, you need to make sure that they pay a visit to the thrift store to make your purchase, get your little bling bling or something going on.
Yes, many bling blings. We have a secure website, BahamasHumane.org, and you can go on and you can make your donations.
Awesome. Now, how can viewers, you just talked about your website, so give us are there any other options of persons being able to donate to BHS? And also, can you provide us your location and your operating hours?
Well, with number 35 Dunmore Avenue. We have, right now, because of one veterinarian, right now we are seeking another one. We only have two clinics during the week. We have, I think it's on a Tuesday, and we have another clinic on a Saturday. And that varies, So I think it's best to call to find out when is the clinic days. We do support the general public with dog food, cat food on Tuesdays. And so we try to help people who are not working during the pandemic and people who are still downtrodden. And we do assist because we're dedicated to the welfare of animals. And that is our most important part of, I should say, purpose in the community.
Well, listen, I think you took away every single excuse there is for anyone to not want to participate or be a part of what it is that you're actually doing. And I want to take this opportunity and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're watching You and Your Money. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Grand Bahama, host city of the 𝗖𝗛𝗥𝗚𝗑𝗘 Open Track and Field Championships 2022.
Sad.
3 days of competition, 3 days of excitement, 3 days of non-stop action with the best athletes in the region. It's the 4th edition of 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏 Open Track and Field Championships taking place on Grand Bahama Island, August 19th through 21st at the Grand Bahama Sports Complex. Get set.
Welcome back to You and Your Money, everyone. The Salvation Army's mission is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human needs without discrimination. Its feeding centers in New Providence and Grand Bahama provide over 40,000 hot meals and thousands of grocery parcels every year to individuals and families in need. The food program is just one of many services provided by the Salvation Army. Joining us now to talk about the Salvation Army's food program and the impact of charitable giving is Melanise Coakley-McKenzi, Community Relations and Development Associate at the Salvation Army Bahamas. Melanise, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
There was a recent article in The Guardian on the challenges the Salvation Army is currently facing due to the increasing cost of food. For persons who haven't actually read that article, talk about some of those challenges and how it is that you've been navigating them.
Well, yes, the article, we spoke about the difficulty in sourcing certain types of products for our feeding program currently, as there is a shortage not just here in the Bahamas, but a challenge worldwide in terms of certain products you would use in your programming. The other challenge is the cost of items that you purchase to use in your programs. We feed 5 days a week, hot meals. And so sometimes sourcing certain types of meat, certain dry goods to use in those meals can be a challenge when you're thinking about feeding persons on a day-to-day basis. When you look at your menu planning, you have to sometimes change it because something may not be in stock. And so definitely we are not alone in the impact of not being able to source certain things, but we have learned to become creative when we are assisting persons every day.
Now, you're talking about the creativity side of things. Of course, you know, having the creativity, we still have to keep in mind the cost factor and the actual availability of the food items. Tell me, is it better to donate actual goods, or is monetary donations the best way to support the food program?
Well, monetary is the best way to support the program because then that allows us sometimes, if a certain wholesaler doesn't carry a product, to identify another wholesaler who has a product that we are in need of and can get it quickly, as the program takes place every day. But we do welcome those persons who take the initiative and place orders at wholesalers of their own choosing, and we get deliveries of these items and we incorporate them in the meals and also the parcel bags that are distributed to the persons in need. So definitely we would prefer financial donations because it gives us the leeway and the options to go out and sometimes source things differently. However, if that is not the preference, we definitely leave the option up to those persons they can go to their wholesaler of preference and put in an order and send it to number 31 Mackey Street, and we get those deliveries anonymously many times that we are in need of those types of items.
Well, I get, how it is. You're saying that the monetary donations is definitely the ideal because you have the menus that it is that you have set and you're wanting to work towards. The Salvation Army also works very closely with NEMA in having to provide emergency disaster services. Can you share how some of those donations actually help you with bringing relief to the individuals and families who were impacted by Hurricane Dorian?
Well, as a partner of NEMA, yes, we operate shelters when there is a message generated in terms of hurricane, on its way, hurricane warning, depending on what island it's close to. And so as a partner, once we get that call, the centers become activated. Once the centers become activated, there's a partnership between the Salvation Army, the Defense Force, and Social Services and NEMA, because Social Services actually operates the shelter. Defense Force accesses security. The Salvation Army provides the facilities. And so how that works is the meals, the cots, just the safety of the person being inside a hurricane shelter, because of course we have to pass inspection every year. And in passing inspection, there are certain recommendations made depending on the size of your shelter, some things that need to be included going forward. And so once that is done, as a partner, as we partnered in the last 15 years, you name the hurricane, the Salvation Army has been here not only to help immediately, but restoration and recovery is also a part of the programs of the Salvation Army. And so looking at those individuals that are impacted long term, persons don't realize after a hurricane it can take up to 18 months to 5 years to get back to the place of where they were once before because of the disaster that has taken place. However, the Army is there because we have the technical expertise. We're an international organization, so it's not just us here on the ground. We call on our fellow divisions, and persons are brought in also to support us, to bring in that expertise if it is needed, and we help those that are most in need.
So talking about hurricanes, during Hurricane Matthew in 2016, the Salvation Army's Women and Children's Emergency Shelter was heavily damaged. Talk about the renovations you were able to complete at the shelter, as well as the women and children that you've been able to house because of the donations you've received.
Yes, during Hurricane Matthew, the shelter was we had severe roof damage that caused a lot of challenges to us during that time. But thankfully, due to a partner of ours, Caribbean Bottling Coca-Cola, they partnered with us we had 2 campaigns during the summer following Hurricane Matthew, Christmas in July, if I don't know persons recall, where we bell rang in the month of July, and those funds were used to renovate and restore the shelter to what it is today. Currently, the shelter is dormitory style, where the families are housed in their own room based on the number of persons being sheltered at that time. The bathrooms are communal, the kitchen, the washer and dryer, those things have helped us to be able to help those most in need in terms of women and children seeking shelter.
All right, so you're talking about the creativity, you're talking about being able to house persons. The Salvation Army also operates the only school in the country for the blind and hearing impaired. Yes. What is the curriculum like at the school, and what technology and other resources do students actually have access to because of donations?
Well, yes, we operate the only school for the blind and visually impaired students in the Bahamas. Bearing in mind that in order to be enrolled at the school, there is an assessment that has to be done by the Ministry of Education that has to declare a student legally blind or legally challenged. Once that is done, the letter is then sent to us to advise that a new student is going to be joining us. So the school is an all-age school, so you start from kindergarten up to grade 12. And the facilities, once the assessment is done, you have some children that are academically inclined, and then you have some children who we want to teach the skills to function as an adult. And so there are 2 curriculums going at the same time. Once those students are identified, they're put on their tracks. And so you have those students who have sat national examinations and done very well. We have students who have become adults and are working in the government, that have gone off to school. We have students that, that finished matriculating through the School for the Blind and have come through and now working at our workshop for the blind that makes the mops. So definitely the technology is there once the child is assessed. You have your talking calculators, you have your talking dictionaries. So definitely whatever the technology, your braille machines that are used, whatever the device that is needed to help to allow the child to have its most potential. Because of donations that persons give to us, if it is identified for the School for the Blind, goes directly to those students and helping them be successful in their education. As during the pandemic, they needed laptops and tablets, and so they were provided through donations. So definitely there is a program that you may have an affinity to that the Salvation Army provides in helping those most in need.
Certainly it's a whole lot, and it's definitely commendable with the work it is that you're doing. But Melanise, of course, we have to take a quick break, but we'll continue when we get back. This is You and Your Money. We'll be right back.
It's our drive. It's our resilience. It's our tenacity that makes us legendary. NACAC Open Track and Field Championships 2022, August 19th through 21st, Grand Bahamas Sports Complex. World-class athletes. 3 days of intense competition, hosted on Grand Bahama Island, August 19th through 21st. Get set.
Welcome back to You and Your Money. Still with me is Melanise Coakley-McKenzi, Community Relations and Development Associate at the Salvation Army Bahamas, one of the largest non-governmental providers of social services in the country. We're continuing our conversation on the impact of charitable giving. Every holiday season, the Salvation Army holds its annual Red Kettle campaign, where bell ringers collect donations in front of various retail stores. How important is this campaign in funding the work that you do throughout the year?
Oh, the bell ringing, the annual Christmas fundraising program for the Salvation Army is very key. It is a program that helps to sustain a lot of our operational costs throughout the year, along with our programs and services. As you would notice, most of the year you don't see the Salvation Army out and about seeking to raise funds. So definitely that is a key for us when we come out in late November up until the week of Christmas, because of the many volunteers that come alongside us and bell ring and give of their time, and we are able to be successful in making sure to help those most in need during not just the Christmas, but as we say, love beyond Christmas throughout the whole year. Those funds help us help each program, each service that we offer persons throughout the year.
You know, I have had my time of bell ringing as well, and it was a wonderful experience. So tell me a little bit more about how can companies get involved in this campaign?
Well, normally we begin that process mid-year. First of all, we have to get the permission of all of the locations that you see us at. That can take some time, so normally we would hear back from them by late September. Once we've gotten an approval for the locations, then we would reach out to the different civic groups, the fraternal groups, the sororities, the kids clubs, the lunch bunch groups, persons who've expressed interest, even some students giving back of their time during the holiday, to say, okay, this time is available, and the conversation begins there. And so definitely they can always reach out to us via our telephone number, just to let us know they're interested. Corporate Bahamas, they have their different groups that come out, Toastmasters, the Rotarians. It's just so many different groups that help us to be successful in that effort of fundraising.
Now, I'm sure you probably, you kept on talking about creativity. What special plans do you have for this year's campaign?
What we're thinking about is we're thinking about having a Saturday just for the youth in terms of fundraising, as there are many youth organizations and youth arms of many clubs, and so identifying a specific day just for the student clubs this Christmas. Also going back to our award ceremony that normally takes place in the new year for those who would have raised the most funds on their location. We're looking back at, because that has always been great competition among different groups over the several years prior to the pandemic, and then we had to, of course, change that. Definitely, we've used social media ambassadors. That's also been a great help to us in the last 2 years. We've partnered with many of them, and they have identified a day that they want a bell ring, been on their platform, talked about the work of the Salvation Army. So definitely we continue to evolve when it comes to bell ringing, and so just, going a little bit deeper in some of those areas to make sure that we have the most impact during our fundraising season.
Before you go, talk about the Salvation Army's senior clubs. What do they offer, and how do donations help to keep these programs running?
Well, our seniors club is, we took a hiatus, of course, during the summer. It ends in June. We resume in late September. In reference to, that is a club that is open to any senior who has free time on a Wednesday. There are 2 programs that run. One runs at the Mackey Street location and the other at our Grantstown location. And what it does, it gives the seniors an opportunity to fellowship, not only with their friends, with other seniors, bearing in mind COVID protocols are in place. So we do now have a system where persons have to call in and put their name on the list. So once we reach capacity, based on the room, then we would put them in another group. And so basically, they've done tours, they've done beach days, they've done exercising. It's just a fun time of fellowship. They've done craft competitions around the Easter. We've had health and wellness with the seniors clubs. So definitely it is a way of fellowshipping, and believe me, the seniors look forward to that Wednesday every week. They are there early as if they're coming to work, and they don't want to leave when it's done. And it's just an enjoyment just to sometimes just go down and talk with them and have a great conversation.
The Seniors Club really sounds like it's an exciting time for the seniors to come together. But thank you, Melanise, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
To donate to the Salvation Army, visit salvationarmybahamas.org/donations. There you'll find the direct deposit information as well as the link to donate online. You can also support the Salvation Army by shopping at its thrift stores in Nassau and in Freeport. If you haven't followed You and Your Money on Facebook yet, please do. Today's episode can be streamed and shared with your friends on Facebook. Don't forget to tune in next week for a brand new episode of You and Your Money. I'm Christina. It has been a pleasure hosting today's show. Thanks for watching.